share what you've provided us first?
Yeah, I got two sheets here.
Does the chief have this?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's start with the large spreadsheet first. This is just the recap of the current salaries. So it does have their hourly rate, their annual hours, who works what, their annual salaries. The first basically is January through June, and then for the union contract, there's an increase of, I believe, 2%. So that's their July through December numbers. So the first column up there is all of the current salaries. Below that, the one that's the city proposal, again, it's just the hourly rate, the annual hours, and what the salaries are, and what the increase has been proposed. And below that is just a recap of the police chief's proposal with the same information. With that, the breakdown.
So you're saying the hours proposed by who?
For each one, like say for the current salaries, what's the pay now, the city proposal, that's what the city propose. And then it says the police chief's proposal.
Oh, down below, I was looking.
That's the
above.
current one, the top table.
That's the current.
Yep.
Which is what we
Approved in the budget. Yep.
So the top is what's in the budget right now and what compensation would be in July.
What was currently approved
We
through
didn't do anything.
which is currently approved through the process with Pat and the police chief, yes.
Okay. The city proposal,
When we went back to the table, the city came back with the city proposal, and then the police chief came back with his proposal.
City meaning admin staff proposal.
admin, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. And then the small sheet, kind of looks like this one in front of you. This is the, so the top one is again, the police chief's, Wally's proposal. So this will be increased from the actual budget that was approved, the 2015 budget. So the wage, I look back and see how many hours was about the average hours of overtime worked the last couple of years by Sergeant Losby and Fuega. And that's kind of about 150 hours is about the average, so I use that. And there was a total, and on top of that, you have the FICA and Wisconsin retirement to get to your 21,365. Below that is the admin proposal with the wages, again, the overtime, and then FICA and Wisconsin retirement and the total there.
Question.
Yes, Alderwood?
On the chief's proposal, on the smaller sheet,
Yes.
what's the effective date of the,
Okay, I should step back on that too. Yeah, these are all retro as of 1/1, so this would, if you start the year as a retro payment.
So the impact in total with everything, with the chief's proposal, retro to January 1st would be 21,365.
Yes.
And the city's proposal is changing because of why? Just the overtime?
No, there was a couple changes, I believe, with the detective, or the new sergeants, to what the detectives are working as, the annual salaries, not hourly rates. So if you look at the current salaries, you see detectives making 66,095. If you go down to the new sergeants, that's what their rate would start as, based on the admin's proposal. As you can see, the current salary, they're below that.
Yep.
So there's little changes there.
So in your columns that say percent change, hourly percent change salary, that's comparing the preceding line.
Correct, so the new sergeants.
So detectives, new sergeants drop 7.7% from detectives.
Correct,
Okay.
for the
All
hourly.
right.
Yep.
Yep. This is exactly what I had hoped we would get. Anything more from admin?
If I could just talk a little bit about process, no matter what this body decides moving forward, this would be a recommendation to council, but along with that, we would have to do a budget amendment that would come back to this body, and then approval by council. So it'd be 2 meetings after this,
Okay.
depending on what your recommendation is.
Okay. Chief, anything you wanted to add? Ms. Spallo?
I just glanced at this when Mark put it out, and I think there's just one, I don't know how close you're going to look at this, but it shows in the top line of this one spreadsheet, it shows that the sergeant, the current top sergeant, which would be Sergeant Losby, it shows an increase on July 1st, and that's not accurate. He's not scheduled for an increase this year on July 1st.
Yeah, that's true.
So 7150 is not going up to 7788?
It's like the...
That was with the revised one.
Yeah, it was 3373, and it shows him going up to 3403, and he's not scheduled for an increase in
Correct.
2015
Yeah.
on the current budget. I guess the only thing I want to reiterate is, and I tried to mention it at the last meeting, I didn't see it in the minutes, but I could find no other police department in the state of Wisconsin where a supervisor made less per hour than the people they supervise, and I just wanted to stress that one.
Yep.
And then the other thing was, when we brought this proposal forward, I think the personnel will be happy with whatever they get. We weren't looking to go back retroactive to July or January 1st. But, it's something that's been festering for like 15 years, and we just want it to be fixed at some point.
You and me both, us both, we both, all of us. Questions? Alder Bussey.
I guess a question, maybe a couple comments. Is it appropriate that we plug in a pay range, or would it be more appropriate for us to, if we're inclined to make an adjustment, to recommend a budget adjustment? To me, individual pay rates should be between supervisor and the people that they supervise, not this body or the council determining what a rate should be. So I understand the concept. I hope that, I don't know how we got here, but I hope that going forward, we can have these types of discussions or fixes before the budget session. I think everybody would agree with that. I went through something I think, Pat, you had sent out, and Chief, you gave us this. It's a list of rates for the communities, because my immediate reaction was, what does the market pay? And I took out some of these. I took out Monona, obviously, because I just wanted to get the competition, so to speak. Middleton, Mount Horeb, UW Police Department. I think Middleton and UW are quite large. Mount Horeb's probably too small, so I kind of threw those out, came up with some averages, came up with, and comparing that to what's being requested, I don't think is out of line.
Requested by who?
By the chief.
By the chief, okay.
But, and again, I would be more comfortable if the dollar amount is 21, if it was, it's got two more, or today's the start of a new payday.
Yeah, it starts on the 16th. It's 15th and 30th you get paid.
So I figured that there's probably, if you divide that by 24 and figure 5 pay periods are already behind us, that's about 44.
Number are you using, Alder Bussey?
21,365 divided by 24. And then we've already used up 5 pay periods, so that's $4,451. The budget adjustment would be $16,914. How that gets split out, chief, city administrator, chief, mayor, city administrator.
Well, just for clarification, in terms of reporting structure, the city administrator works with all staff and manages day to day.
I understand.
But by statute, the police chief and the fire chief report to the mayor. The mayor does not want to be the arbitrator of the pay scale. You know, I wanted input. And the reason it's come to this point is there's a difference of opinion from the city administrator is looking at the city as a whole and how the entire staff is being handled, and the chief is looking at the staff from his staff, and they don't line up, I think is kind of a simple way to put it. So that's the disparity in the two numbers. I think everyone's in agreement, there is a disparity, and so the question being, it is what it is in terms of being promoted and taking a step back in compensation. And I have no reason to doubt the chief when he says you can't find a city where that's the case in the state, and I think that would seem to be what I was hearing last week was the consensus. So I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, Alder Bussey, but I really do look to this body as personnel and finance, and we have in the past set, they're usually presented, but I'm not aware in my time on the council that there's been a disparity in the number and to this level where we're kind of at a loggerhead. So I understand what you're saying, but I would appreciate some direction coming out of this. Alder Wood?
Well, that's what I was going to say is I think the reason we're here is because they haven't been able to reach an agreement at the administrative level between the administrator and the police chief. So I think we need to, in general, I agree with you, but I think maybe in this case we need to give a little more direction. But your proposal would be then to basically prorate the 21,365 for the rest of this year. What was the number? Whatever it is.
16,914.
Mark can check my math, but I'll check it.
And that would basically be, the amendment would be to increase the police salary budget by that amount.
That's, yes.
Okay. Well, I think
I
that
don't-
accomplishes
I-
what the mayor's looking for too, is some direction.
You know, I'm just uncomfortable. I mean, we've got names here and their positions, but, you know, they're people too. And that should be, the supervisor deciding that, not,
Right, so let's assume that is the pot, which is, I think, has a good ending in part, but hearing what you're saying, it still comes down to the same, other than, I guess, we're telling administration that we do want to modify the budget to that $17,000 approximate mark. And then, I guess,
Well,
all right, if it's my job, it's my job, but, you know, I don't want this to keep happening, and what I'm afraid, if we don't come up with this kind of to me, it's now becoming a math equation. And I shared my concerns at the last meeting that I don't like how this is unfolding because it doesn't take into account, I don't think, adequately experience levels. But I just don't, we can't have a three-legged stool. So to me, this is two legs of the stool, and if it's fair, it may be fair, at least economically. I don't know if it's fair to skill levels, but so be it. Alder Bussey.
you know, the city administrator's looking out for the budget.
Right.
That's his job.
Right.
But if the council, decides to fund some more monies because things are upside down here as far as the hourly rate for the sergeants. So if the council approves to fix that problem, I think we would give them, should it be approved, give them the money to fix the problem. It shouldn't repeat itself in future years.
Because, I think it won't, because if I ask the chief, how would you expend those dollars, those 17,000, I'm assuming he's gonna suggest doing it the way he said he suggests. So, I mean, we might not be implicitly approving the chief's pay, but we're tacitly, I mean, there's the pot.
I understand.
So it's kind of a matter, Process, I guess, all right, you're not
it's-
comfortable with the process, but
I'm not comfortable with the
the
process.
result's gonna be the same.
I
It's the
understand
process
that.
you're not comfortable with.
I think we're saying, here's the money that can be used for compensation, motivation, whatever, performance. It's up to the department head to figure that out, not for me, in my opinion. So I would propose.
Can I just ask for clarification, Mark, was Alder Bussy's math correct?
Yeah.
So it would be $16,914.
So I would, if Alder Wood is of a like mind, the wordsmith that he is by training, how we might change the resolution. I'm assuming it would be in the last whereas, or do we have another wordsmith in the audience that could help us out? If we were to change it from 1 and 2 to just be a budget amendment for wages that would be increased by that amount?
Were you reading that amendment from last meeting?
Yeah, it wasn't in my packet. I'm pulling out what we had.
It was
from
in the last meeting.
Okay.
And I didn't bring that in, so I have the council.
I think it's in either one.
I should probably ask Bill.
Bill?
Bill, I got a copy of it up here. Do you want to look at it and advise us on what I should propose here? All I'm suggesting is getting rid of the...
Alderwood?
Yes, sir.
Well, I just had a question for Mark, just for context. Right now, do you know what what the levy limit will be for next year for raising property taxes?
Get rid of it.
I won't until we know how Trace is really counted, but it's
August probably.
probably not in August, but it's gonna be, right now, last year was like 60, I believe.
Right,
So I assume it's, the assessments went up, or equalized value went up, even though, I would say it's gonna be probably 60.
On
70.
residential only though, correct? Not on commercial?
Last year's equalized value I'm
Right.
talking about, so yeah, so.
Okay.
I'd say it's gonna be around 60 to 70.
Equalized value.
So next year, in 2016, if we approve this, it would be using about a third of that.
Correct.
Last year's money
Yeah.
already.
And health insurance is going to be is already over the 60,000,
Why is it needed to be spelled out here?
the proposed increase.
Yeah, the biggest number is Trace Stud, what that comes in at, because that's gonna be our new construction number.
So when do they meet? How do they do that?
They're doing it right now.
They're doing it right now?
Yeah, but we won't have it till after open book.
With any assumption as to how far along it's gonna be, or do they just put a stake in the ground? If they're there today, this is what the value
No,
is?
as of January 1
Added that.
Of last year,
There's two things.
of this year.
Of this year.
That's technically when they're supposed
of
to be.
2015?
Yes.
There wasn't much there.
No. About half, maybe half.
That
Think so?
years might get
Hope so.
and increase the budget by 60.
Oh, man.
You could say increase the budget $16,000. Pay range for police sergeants shall be increased to market rate as determined by, but then you're going to get into the mayor's issue if someone's going to have to determine that.
Bill, it was recommended that the sergeants would, see, the way the contract is set up right now is the police officers make 5.2% less per hour than a detective. My proposal was that the sergeants, once they're off probation, would make 5.2% above the hourly rate of the detective. So the probationary sergeant would make the same amount as the detective. The sergeant off probation would make 5.2, and we'd establish that gap between the patrolman, the detective, and the sergeant.
You're effectively increasing the pay range
5.2%
After
on the hourly rate.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, you would rather allocate the money and then it could be,
That's what I would rather do.
I mean, you can do it either way, obviously legally.
If we allocated the money and said that the reason for doing this is to fund the correction in the sergeant's pay scale. Isn't that correct, Chief?
Yes. And I just have two more points.
Yep.
And one of them is our fuel estimates for 2015
We're gonna
are way
be-
over budget.
yep.
We budgeted $4 a gallon, it's probably be closer to $2.50.
Yep.
So
And
we
dropping
might
it
save up to $19,000 a year there.
Yep.
And we're also down 2 police officers. We're in the process of trying to hire one. I know, Mark, we had to do a payout,
Big
but
payout, yeah.
our second one that hasn't even been tested yet, we're probably not going to see that person until like July. So there's going to be some,
If this reaches a budget amendment, it could be salaries increase, and then it's paid for out of the savings that you just described.
I think what you may want to do then would be allocate the funds statewide to close the gap in an amount as determined by, and you can designate anybody. I mean, if the council doesn't designate somebody, it falls on the mayor's shoulders by virtue of its position. But the council can certainly designate as determined by the police chief, the city administrator, whoever you wanted to do.
Doug, would you be comfortable with something like that?
Yeah, I would. So instead of where the last resolution was, we were going to plug in numbers for the pay range for sergeants and lieutenants, we would instead do a budget amendment up for the $8,
$17,000.
the 16,914
And,
to be allocated.
but we'd also have to fix the pay rate.
Those funds would be allocated for the purpose of
Right.
closing the pay gap in an amount specifically as determined by chief, the administrator, whomever.
So I guess I would ask if I could, the chief and the administrator, does that seem like something you guys will be able to figure that out then?
Oh, yeah.
Or do-
Yeah.
Once you have a dollar amount.
It's gonna be.
It is what it is.
It's gonna be
Yeah, right.
right now.
Right.
So you just defer, it's gonna be, but we'll have those discussions, so, yeah. So I think Pat and the chief and the mayor know where it'll end up.
But if I were to pick a number, I may not pick the same number that the chief does. I mean, my little analysis.
5.2%
I
increase.
may
you might-
come up with something different, but I don't
Right.
think that's appropriate.
Right.
Right,
So because he.
but you weren't being asked to pick another one. I think there's a
Well-
recommendation out there, but you're deferring the.
There's not a number written in here,
Right,
so
yeah.
I think we were asked to pick a number.
Right.
After the last meeting, I had asked, I want it, it's gonna be an hourly rate.
But we would just be providing the
The pot.
additional budget amount for the sergeants and detectives, lieutenants, I'm sorry.
So,
All right,
so I guess what I'm proposing to amend this to, that the 16,914 be made available for salaries to fix, modify the wage discrepancy, and then that the rates of pay be determined by the police chief.
Right, for the police sergeants and police lieutenants.
Thank you.
I'd second that.
do you have that, Joan?
Getting there?
And it was for the which positions, I'm sorry, detective and
The sergeants and lieutenants, not detectives. I mean, well,
Correct, chief?
okay, should I read this back?
Yep, please.
16,914 be made available for salaries to modify the wage discrepancy, and that the rates of pay be determined by the police chief for sergeants and lieutenants.
That's what we want to do, right?
is that it?
I guess the question is, when would this be effective?
I base that on today being the recommendation, the start of a new pay period, so.
Effective today, then?
Well, the council's
No.
gonna, this is gonna
You
end
have
up
to
in
do a
two
budget
more
amendment.
readings, so
Right.
it's gonna be a budget amendment. I mean, it can be effective today if that's what Alder Bussy's,
Retro to this.
but it's gonna be retro to this
Make it
date.
Retro to this date, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, hold on.
So it won't be 16914, then it'll be,
Well, if we make it retro for today, it'll be
Today, it'll be
69.04. If we wait a month,
Right.
it'll be something different.
okay, yep, all right.
March 16, 2000.
And then the
So-
budget amendment could be,
15, sorry.
sorry, sir.
Go ahead.
Then the budget amendment could show the savings that the chief had as a
Yep.
source of funds for this.
Well,
I-
yeah, and to a certain
we
degree,
have
like,
some
we
other-
don't
we
know
have to
about
talk
gas
with-
for sure for the next
Well,
month,
there's
but,
retirement that happens at large payouts, so.
so
Mark will figure it
Mark
out.
will figure out what may be applied. I guess, so one of the problems that arose here was the timing of the promotions, and retirements, and hirings. So Chief just explained, you have two openings coming up, one coming in July. So this rate then will, I don't want to just restart this whole, because part of the problem was you hired and you posted an offering that we did not match in the budget process. So before any job gets posted, I think administration and you, and if I need to get involved, we need to get involved, right?
Or promotions, yes.
This is just
For
patrol
promotions.
that's coming up. Two new
These are
spots.
just patrol officers. Those are.
So neither,
No.
these are set, and
Yeah.
we're all, okay.
They're set by
All right,
contract.
all right, I don't want, this has been a difficult process for everybody involved, so. All right, there's a motion, Alder Wood? Yep.
And I think if we approve this, and if the council approves it, it'll be pretty clear to everybody what the intent
Right.
is.
To fix the
So
disparity.
hopefully, yeah, we wouldn't be back here doing this again.
Hope not. All right, are you,
Yeah,
Me too.
I would ask Mayor, I wondered if you wanted, language to say that modify the police department wage, or
No.
the department isn't mentioned in here at all until we just, the chief and the sergeants at the end. Just wondering for wording, that's all.
how did it start?
It starts whereas Monona Police Department,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
so we're
So you
good.
need to go back to last council's
Yeah,
Agenda.
reading.
okay,
That's what Alder Bussey and Alder Wood were modifying.
got it.
Are you okay, Joan?
Yes, I am.
Okay. There's a motion and a second before Personnel and Finance Committee. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Oppose? Motion carries. Thank you, staff. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Joan. Thanks, officers.
Thanks, officers.
All right. What's of my, New business, item 6A is convening in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, paren 1, paren E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. This is regarding the Monona waterfront redevelopment project. Is there a motion to convene in closed session?
so moved.
Second.
Motion second. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder Bussey,
All right, this shouldn't take more than 10 minutes.
Oh, it's here. I mean, it's. Yeah, so he's been. How many years? Yeah, it's only been some max.
Yeah, they leave. We stay. What do you think?
So I did that.
No, my April one is to miss that without like retirement. So I feel like that's about $3,000. I think so that's 17.
Here's the thing, it's going to be effective March 15th. Must be more than 5.2% per hour more than we had with two sergeants and detective today. And you'll bring 2.5, he is like 2.8 in there above what the other one is now. That was what it should have been.
But that's these numbers. So
And what I'll end up doing is just do like an investment status form. Use those numbers and do this.
excited for it. And then we'll lose our restrictions.
So you're sure the rest of the way?
And this is a 5-second minute.
I know.
There's no question. This is the exact same kind of graphic concept. Which makes them tired, which always makes them improve.
Sometimes they will move up if they're feeling kind of. I think there's
Closed session was good.
those kids that are just.
Such a good closed session we had. But the public gets out.
Hopefully Joe will make that.
I saw that. Just like, 90-10 cut from full. I got a brother that's oh yeah, imagine for we're active up here. It's gonna be like third.
Howdy.
How long have we been in that?
They just went in closed session about a little less than 5 minutes ago. What are you buying tonight?
4 items. Stormwater project, cold storage building,
That sounds sexy.
Tompkins Drive reconstruction, and the leaf collection truck. All second reads.
I didn't mention.
Because I think we can do it. Set up the job. Just-
I don't think so, unless you just.
No, maybe I missed it. You said maybe.
Oh, so he can. I can see it. It's not long. It's trying to get on. Oh, for here, it's just the top of the head. It's like a little card, it's very simple to tweak it, turn and capture one, because really, when you decide something falls, tagging the wall, and then getting is its own purpose. We do have a redundant camera with the one on the side of the lower garage. It's almost the same shot as that 4 camera capturing the wide angle. Yeah, it's almost the exact same shot. So you can almost reverse that to get the door better or the stairway. That would be a little clean it out. Right now, you can only see the door itself. That's the person door on the side of your garage.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we can lower that now.
Because that camera shoots almost at the same angle as the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see what's coming in and out.
Right.
What we have to keep.
Right. I don't like that coming up the stairs since it's there.
Yeah. See if we just miss it before.
That's captured again. And I will have to take a look, but I'm going to crash. Oh, that one was that. How much on the render wood?
And Mark is saying that Mark always paid up. It's like 4 grand. Per student.
We don't pass it.
It's not. He's paying something out. Most vacation.
Well, you pay out sick leave into retirement insurance for healthcare. If that's what it's talking about. But that's not really a budget thing.
I don't know, like, they get the money, they get it, so, or take it out of the police budget.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what he has to be talking about. Because when they flip-flop the vacation benefits, you don't get paid out
Because
for
Mike-
vacation.
Mike, caretaker of the jail is sick.
But I did not have an option. It wasn't there. But I don't think this has to be into the healthcare. Or in the healthcare. That's not 100%. Whatever gets in 2 years. Yeah, there's a cash payout there, but that's pretty sweet. Do they do that? They do that in the same manner?
Just doing the opposite of what I did.
What, what's that? Cute little town where downtown is. That was
Some of those are a little weird.
So, I just want to make sure there wasn't slavery involved, so. Just picturing with the first draft of that. I should
After work, I went for a jog. There had to be, I bet you I passed 30 people out running.
Oh, I know, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was driving.
It was amazing.
Oh,
Dogs running and, no, we don't need a
Where are
dog.
all these people?
We don't need a dog park. There's dogs running everywhere in our current park.
They're running everywhere.
Yeah. But man, it's just so nice out.
Yeah, it's perfect, but it's not supposed to be cold, right?
I know, it's supposed to
40s?
drop again, but back to the norm, I think,
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
tomorrow. And then 50s the rest of the
Really bad. It's
Like normal, like what, 30?
40s.
40s to 50s.
I'll take that.
somewhere, I heard there was an
The kids are in school already with shorts on. and
Oh,
stuff.
I know. Kids are really itchy. I bet you the teachers don't like this good weather.
Or college kids, I'm sure they're
Yeah. They're not even going to class. They're playing frisbee.
frisbee or something.
Ready, guys?
I would like to reconvene in open session under Wisconsin Statute 19.82, paren 2. Moving on to item C is consideration of Resolution 15-3-2019, which is authorizing the extension of options to purchase with Inland Lakes Land Company LLC and Monona Bridge Lounge LLC.
Bridge Road, LLC.
Bridge Road. What did I say?
Lounge.
Lounge. It's almost St. Patrick's Day. And Monona Bridge Road LLC. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval?
Second.
Motion second. Is there discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder Bussey,
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 6D is consideration of Resolution 15-3-2020. The approval of participation in a Wisconsin Bureau of Transportation Safety Grant titled 2015 Seatbelt Task Force Grant. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval?
Second.
Motion second. Chief? Officer what? Or Lieutenant?
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Weigel.
All right.
Welcome.
An $11,000 traffic grant for seatbelts. It's in partnership with the town of Madison, the village of McFarland, and the village of DeForest. Our matching portion is 25%, and that's a soft match. It comes out of retirement benefits, Social Security, and fuel.
We've done this very program, or
Yeah, it's similar to all
similar
the
program.
transportation safety grants.
Now that we don't have a stealth bicycle officer, though, will it be nearly as effective without Officer Fenton, Lieutenant Fenton?
Well, we can always make things happen.
All right. I look forward to seeing you on the trek. Questions? Hearing none.
Just a quick thing, there is, we budget now $25,000 for the grant and $25,000 for overtime, so it is budgeted for these grants now. It's just,
But this doesn't cover it all. I mean, we have other grants too that.
yeah, I mean, this is the first of them.
But 25% of 11 grand, here's what we have to contribute.
Correct.
Yeah, so we're spending 11 or 25 or,
Out of budget.
yeah.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Good luck. Just ignore that blue button. The seatbelt gets stucky sometimes.
Mayor, if I
Yes.
could note, this is started for immediate action at council.
At council?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you going to stay around tonight, Kurt? All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 7, acceptance of general fund accounts payable checks dated February 27th through March 12th, 2015. Mark?
There's not a lot of bills this month. Just a couple, just going to mention page 3, fireplace professionals. This is a one call shelter maintenance. Monona. Page 5, UG business, some radio station equipment. Newegg.
And
Page
are those equipment purchases, is that a direct transfer out of the reserve fund?
This is budgeted, I believe.
No, it's all budgeted, but it's coming out of the cable access fees?
Yes.
Do those cable access fees just sit in our general fund as a
They said they're
as a
separate.
defined budget?
They have their own separate fund, so they're separated.
So you're just doing transactions in and out of that fund, not out
Yeah,
of...
it's just the 20, there's a number, you see a 203 accounts.
Just so it's always clear to the taxpayers that...
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a very nice radio station, you know,
Yeah.
who's paying for it? Well,
No, that's all through the cable fund.
Alder Bussey?
Mark, the Poblacki sign for the library, what is that?
What page, oh,
Same page, 5.
That must be the... I bet you that is
that
the
I don't know offhand. I believe it's part-
stairway.
Yeah, it's for the
Donor
plaques, for the
recognition
donors.
plaques.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Got it, okay.
And that got delayed because there's some designations being altered. And I think everything's on track with that now for an April
Yeah.
installation or something like that.
On page 5, there's Strands Associates, and it goes into the top of page 6. Here's just some of the projects they're working on, just to give you an idea. A couple down underneath that, Traeger Direct, electronics, that was part of our capital budget for IT. Page 10, advanced disposal. I just want to hit on the rebate. The rebate's $4,300, almost $4,400. This is consistent what we've been getting over the last couple of years for rebates.
That's over what period of time, a quarter or a month?
That's 1 month. And that's consistent. We budget based right around there.
When do you think you will be giving us our first year-to-date report
For
for
this
2015, when you do,
I can do
here's
this.
where we should be by account,
I can do it for the first quarter. I can have it in April, have that meeting.
first April meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the chief brought up gas, I'm going to be really intrigued to see.
Your gas is down. We used to pay like $9,000 a month. Now we're down like $5,500.
Okay.
That's for the city as a whole.
Okay.
I really don't have any other ones. There are a lot of them are just
Move approval?
Second?
Motion and second for approval. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Checks have been approved. Item 8, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.